The Let's Do Mo after show. Oh, here we are.
We're live?
Yeah, and by the way, things aren't the way they're supposed to be when you're live. Why can't we hear what's going on in the studio with Shawnee Culture? He hasn't muted it. It's pretty bad what's happening.
Wait, did anyone even tell Shawnee what we're doing?
No.
All right, now we sound okay.
Already.
Now we're good.
Right.
We're good. It's the Laura Rosenberg and Ebro after show. You guys like that title?
Hot.
What about EITM after show? Ebro in the morning after party. No, but let's do an after party.
Ooh,
There's
after
no party.
There's no party.
There's no party.
Why are we doing this, Laura? What's happening?
Because they said we had to. That's really it.
I was about to say,
But
why are
people
you
want to
asking
know
her?
what happens behind the scenes. What do we talk about? What's happening?
We honestly we talk about we don't talk about work. We talk about like things we like. Rosenberg and Laura talk about pets. What's going on with their pets?
You really overstate that.
No, you guys do that at least 3 days a week.
Man, my pet left.
Laura doesn't even currently have a pet to discuss.
Well, you know, you have two.
I miss my dog P.
Yeah, I miss
shout
my
to
dog.
P wherever you at, kid.
Shout
to Kelvin. Right, Kelvin thinks it should be called the EITM B-Sides, which is terrible. That is the worst title I think I've ever heard.
EITM.
You just hate EITM.
Kelvin.
I tried to help.
Nah, Kelvin, it was terrible. I mean, you can do a lot of things, brother. I hear you're really good at lawyering and stuff, titling things, not so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this brother right here, his name is Kelvin Goode. He's a seasoned attorney, media, and executive. And the reason I was interested in speaking to him, his word is that 50 Cent put you through law school or something like that. Is that right?
That is correct. That is right. That's my big brother. I love 50 to death. Right. I wouldn't be here without him because he's the one that gave me my opportunity. Right. I was.
How long ago are we talking about?
I didn't hear you.
How long ago are we talking about that you guys met?
I met 50 pre Get Rich or Die Trying. Right. So probably like 02.
Okay.
Worked with him for until 2010. Right.
So that's how to rob 50 Cent.
Yeah. No. Mixtape 50 Cent. Right.
Mixtape 50 after how to rob.
Mixtapes. Right. He took me under his wing, ended up living with him in Connecticut for mad years. And then from there, decided to go to college and then law school. And I'm here now.
And were you just trying to work at G Unit back then? Was that your whole
Yeah,
MO?
I think when 50 took off with the mixtapes, right? He kind of recruited three different crews from South Jamaica, Queens. And my building, American Towers, was one of them. And we were the young ones in the group. And, from there went on the mixtape tour, Get Rich or Die Trying, all the way through 2010.
So
Kelvin,
firsthand.
you were always interested. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Laura. My bad.
So Kelvin, law was always something that sparked your interest. That's something you always wanted to do.
No, right? If you would have went back to when I was growing up, I would have never thought I'd be a lawyer, right? I think that's something just to talk about the hood, right? There's so much talent there. It's just we don't have the opportunity, right? So once I got the opportunity to get around 50, right? If you know him, he'll explain everything to you. If he really messes with you, he'll explain everything. And the first thing that he had, we had a meeting, and the first thing he did was in the meeting was say, everybody look around, see who job you want, and it's yours if you can do it. So for me, it was obvious. I don't have any rhythm, so I can't dance, I can't rap, right? So I just wanted to be in the room when the meetings were happening, right? And I looked at management and the lawyers; they were always in the room. So at the time, God bless the dead, Chris Lighty was there, and I knew I wasn't taking his job.
Yo, shout out to Lighty, man. That was my bro, man.
Mine too.
Miss him, man. So you've been there. You've seen 50 the smart water deals. You've seen, the beefs.
Yep.
What's really the only thing I've always wondered with 50 is when he gets into a little back and forth, a little rap beef with people, do he be laughing behind the scenes and loving all the bullshit going on?
It's a good question.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. Because man, at the end of the day, 50's a real street dude, right? And I don't know, like a lot of these rappers and being in the industry for a long time, right? It's like I don't know if they really want to bump into him, basically. So like,
Nah, they don't.
he laughs at this.
Well,
stuff.
that's why I think he'd be laughing, because I think, he's had real street problems.
Yeah.
He dealt with the real life before. So when you come to rap beef, it's stupid.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
So Kelvin, you're right now, are you like, you're a music lawyer? You're his counsel on like business sign contracts?
So what I used to do when I graduated from law school, I joined like one of these big top law firms in the country, and I did a lot of class action and antitrust defense work. From there, I moved over to the plaintiff side and did a lot of like class action plaintiff work, right? So I kind of tried to stay away from the music industry to a certain degree, just because I know how that industry is, and like now it's like I'd rather help plaintiffs actually get justice from like big tech companies.
Now you started a business around this. What's it called?
It's called Claims Hero.
Now,
so like
Claims Hero. You say claims?
Claims Hero. So like a legal claim, right?
Yeah, bust that down. What's that mean? What's going on?
So it's basically a consumer protection platform, right? What we do is we go out and we identify consumer harms. We raise awareness around those harms, and then we make it easy for these consumers to like seek justice. So like we launched our first campaign at the end of October, and it's against TikTok, right? For me, launching the first campaign, I wanted to be able to do something that gave back to my community, and like TikTok has like unleashed like digital fentanyl into our community, right? And these kids are being addicted to these apps, and it's causing like mental health issues all across the country.
Would TikTok be any different though than the others? I mean, everyone always kind of goes to TikTok, and I wonder sometimes whether it's like the fact that it's based in China, because like, is Instagram Reels any different? Is any of this stuff any different?
I mean, all the social media platforms have like different harms, right? But like for me, seeing like TikTok, right? For one, was one of the newest players in the social media field. But on average, kids are spending like an hour and a half a day on it, right? And that's like that ranks amongst the top used social media platforms. But what makes it a little bit more egregious is that like ByteDance, which is TikTok's parent company, they released a domestic version in China, right? And that version comes with safeguards. Like for instance, kids are limited to the amount of screen time they have to less than an hour a day, right? If you're under a certain age, you can't even use the app. The algorithm promotes, educational, historical content, and like one of TikTok's main features is like the endless scroll, right? But like in China, they have like reminders to put your phone down, go to sleep, things like that, which they don't have in America.
That's crazy.
Now, but is that TikTok, or is that America needs to do that and set that man?
I mean, so it's both, right? Like the legislatures, they're trying to create laws that like help with like parental controls on these apps, like, age verification tools. But, that's a time-consuming process, right? Consumers, like parents, are going to be dealing with these mental health harms with their kids forever. And like, it's something that needs to be done now, right? Like the research is out there, and like all these mental health harms are on the uptick, and like for me right now, every day I get hundreds of families sharing their stories, and you just hear stories of like depression, anxiety, all types of different mental health harms. And like, for instance, I had one family that just got covered in the New York Post, right? This was like a mother with an 11-year-old daughter that posted on TikTok that her daughter like she wanted to commit suicide, right? And like the mother didn't know that this was even happening. What ended up happening was the daughter's friend thought it was serious enough to share with her parent, and that parent told the mother, right? And like the mother wasn't even aware that the daughter had a TikTok account to begin with. So like there's something that needs to be done here. And like the parent, her name is Brittany. I got to know Brittany, and she's like a great parent. And like her daughter used to light up the room, but now like after 2 years of TikTok, gradually became withdrawn and it just consumed with the app.
Yeah, I definitely think there's accountability issues with these corporations. I don't even, I think that's a corporate problem in general in America, right? Regulating and staying on top of these corporations. I do think there's some parental responsibility though. And we live in a society, America, corporations will run amok on your ass and take advantage of your whole family, your kids, generations, damage you. They don't even care. And you got to be able to hold them accountable. So I do appreciate you pointing this out and making this your work though, because definitely know there needs to be work here.
And I think, I was gonna say, I think that's a great point, right? But I can't just give all the blame to the parents, right? Because like there's no warning that this app is addictive, right?
Well, no,
like,
that's why I said it's some accountability on both sides.
Yeah, but I kind of look at it like big tobacco lawsuits of the 90s, right?
Mhm.
Tobacco companies were sitting here selling cigarettes knowing they were addictive product, right? With no warnings. Now, as a result of those lawsuits, you can't buy a pack of cigarettes without the whole carton having warnings on it. Like even I was in the 7-Eleven the other day and saw a warning that, you know, nicotine is addictive and it changes your brain. That's why it's so hard to quit, right? So like if parents had these warnings, I think they would pay more attention to what their kids are doing on TikTok.
I like it. I like it, and I like that you're going for it. And it's Claims Hero is the platform.
Yeah, so we encouraging parents right now to visit our website. It's claimshero.io, right? It's a 3-minute survey. You know, you fill out some information and we'll connect you with the best legal representation that you can have. And, you know, you can hold TikTok accountable for these harms that they're causing on your kids, right? Because at the end of the day, these kids and teenagers are suffering at record levels of mental health, of poor mental health. And like companies like TikTok are to blame.
Sidebar, as we promote this Claims Hero and get our brother here, Kelvin Goode, a profile. You know, it's real popular right now. Lawyers are creating these little animal personas. If you are an animal, you know, like they have Michael Lamonsoff, the bull.
Oh, the bull.
They got Top Dog. You know what I'm saying? If you were to have an animal persona, what would it be?
Well, I'm a Leo, so I gotta go with a lion, right? I'd rather be
Ooh.
the king of the jungle, you know, than anything else.
It is.
Facto.
But how do we need to create a commercial for Kelvin. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, I mean, not until his check clears. You know what I mean? Then we can make the commercial.
Kelvin the Lion Lawyer.
You know, you said I was bad at naming things. I don't know how good that one was.
Oh, Kelvin. Yo, LLJ. Cool. Yo, thanks, Kelvin.
I appreciate it. Thank you for sharing your platform.
Yo, man, keep doing that great work, and
you.
your story is amazing, bro. Good for you, man. Way to stay focused, brother. And shout out to 50 Cent and the whole G Unit family, too.
Shout out 50.
For sure.
Thanks, Kelvin.
Thanks, Kelvin.
Thank you, Kelvin.
That was a good guy, man. So,
I'll tell you what was not good. Kelvin the Lion Lawyer. What the hell was that?
That was terrible.
Oh, my God.
What about Kelvin the Legal Lion?
Okay, on the right path.
The Legal Lion.
What's it? His last name's Good?
Yeah.
Kelvin the Good Lion. Kelvin. We'll work on it. But again,
some people lie for bad. Kelvin lies for good. No.
I was going to ask him, but I didn't want you to think I was being petty. When he said he does class action, I was like, so the phone started ringing for people trying to go after Caesar Pina yet?
Wow. You know,
when are those?
Yo, man, come on.
Well, I didn't do it.
Yo,
I said I didn't do it.
Let's talk about this, man. What is your obsession? You and Flex, both of y'all. What is it? And you know what? I understand. I guess I kind of used to be in that space. What is your obsession with the competition and their legal issues?
Honestly, the envy thing, I rarely think. I like envy, so I'm not like rooting for envy to have a bad legal problem. But that dude Caesar, first of all, that's just a big topic of.
Well, apparently,
fraudulent story.
Well, the story goes, Envy's taking the stand against him too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I read over the weekend. That Envy's lawyer, I guess, was on TMZ something talking about Envy was going to go ahead and take the stand against Caesar.
I brought it up
the
just
whole
because
thing is just messy and wild,
and it's in our world. So, like, it's something we hear about, and I really been waiting for the class action suit to happen. The amount of people that they had listening to their quote unquote advice. But I guess if I go a step further and try to push myself honestly, I guess I am obsessed with the fact that our competition can remain so popular, no matter what moral things may happen.
Yeah, but we just this morning was talking about Trump winning the Iowa caucus. People got in a room and knowingly stood behind somebody who's got all of that going on for the president of the United States.
Right. Let alone their morning listen.
Let alone who they decide to tune on in the morning for laughs and shenanigans. Like, nobody cares.
I know. You're right. It's but let me just say there is a clear difference between the way I think about Envy and the way I think about Charlemagne. I don't have
so
any.
what's your problem with Charlemagne?
I don't give people a pass just because like time passes. Like people who continue to do shitty things, I don't just go like, you should get over it though because he's popular.
Well, no, not get over it. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. At a certain point, it's kind of like, people don't care, so why you waste your energy on it?
That is the right. What you're saying is the right thing.
Like, for instance, and this has nothing to do with the Breakfast Club or Charlemagne, none of that. So right now there's a conversation going on about Tubi, which, in kind of, in the black independent movie, it's CD level content, but it's funny kind of thing. People talk about watching movies on Tubi, right?
Okay.
And people are just now coming to the revelation that Tubi was bought by Fox. The News Corp,
right?
Fox,
I saw this, yeah,
in 2020. So people are like, "Yo, why are we supporting Tubi?" You know what? Fox launched its whole brand, Fox, on the backs of the Wayans brothers and all of that. Fox, The Simpsons, and black program. Remember that whole kind of, and not that Simpsons black program, but that whole kind of initial Fox thing with In Living Color and that popularity. And then as soon as it got popular, Fox don't really carry, content created by black folks like that no more. And so people are like, well, so why are we supporting Tubi? But I keep telling people, nobody cares. Tubi's accessible, easy, free. Like, they're not going to not watch something that's accessible, easy, easily accessible and free just because of who owns it or just because of who's behind it or whatever nefarious things are going on. They just want their content. And the same thing applies here.
You're totally right. You're totally right.
I wish people gave a shit. They don't.
I just get endlessly frustrated by seemingly righteous people turn a blind eye to very obvious things just because they want to be on a platform that's popular, And I've had we've had different things happen over the years where it reminds me, I'm like, oh, people just don't give a shit. They are completely full of it. And we just have these moments where I'm reminded of it, and I'll think I'm in a period of moving on and I don't think about it anymore. And then, I'll then fucking someone in our group chat will send me a DM, send us a text that says, "You guys see this?" And it's MSNBC posting a thing about Charlemagne, calling him a political maven. And I'm like, I can't do this. Why? How?
But he is, man.
I don't even. He's a maven.
But who cares?
I'm looking up what maven means.
He's a maverick. They said maverick.
Oh, maverick. You're right, maverick.
And sorry. I don't have any receipts to argue. So maybe he's a political maverick to them. I don't know.
Oh, a maverick, an unorthodox or independent-minded person.
Yeah, and you're a Democratic hack.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a snowflake cuckold Democratic hack, man.
And so maverick means pretend that you might vote for Trump and no one knows what you're going to vote for. You don't know if it's pretend. You don't know what's going on. You don't have the receipts. You ain't Cat Williams. Just stay a part of the conversation so everyone talks about it. Just add to the chaos. Biden's too old. We never know what we're going to do. And that makes you then you're a maverick.
That's right. Because you're out here, blazing trails, baby.
Blazing trails.
I saw you going off on Meek Mill. I saw you on Twitter.
I didn't go. That's going off? Oh, my God, Laura. What a low bar for going off we've reached. I responded to Meek's tweet. Did you see Meek's tweet, Ebro?
I did see Meek's tweet about Joe Biden being old and too old to whatever. I responded too. I didn't even see your response.
I didn't
see yours either. I'm going to see if Ebro
all I said was the president has a staff of 1,800 people. I don't think any president is going to be an expert on all things.
Oh, we basically said the same thing then. My response that Laura said was going off. I wrote, why do people keep acting like he governs by himself, LOL? I don't get it. People act as if Biden's just literally going to win the election and then make every decision and have every conversation himself.
Yo, Shawnee, man, why you messing up our after hours thing, man?
After hours? Oh, that's what
the after hours show.
Yo, Shawnee.
Shawnee, man, 9 to 9:30.
He didn't know we were live?
Nah, I knew. Rock out. What you mean? What
No,
did I
but
do?
when you're on, you got to turn the Q speaker way down.
Yeah, you messing up our audio, man.
The Q.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yo, shout out to Hot
Tony, you
Rod
think
Rick
the
in the
president
chat.
just waves a magic wand and makes things happen?
I know they think that like if we elect Biden, he's going to be sitting there at night and he's like, I would decide on the nuclear button, but I'm too damn tired. I got to go to sleep. Like he's too old to be president. He's going to forget one day, Mr. President, you overslept. You have to meet with the United Nations today. I mean, what are they? I just don't know what they think.
So on that note, so we know, let's just go geopolitical real quick. So right now they're talking about Iran done bombed the U.S. consulate over in northern Iran, right?
That just happened?
Was that last night, this morning, whatever?
Okay.
Some drones and some missiles done hit a U.S. consulate. You know, Biden was talking about, look, I spoke to Iran, they ain't gonna do nothing. But we know Iran is financing Hamas, Hezbollah. We know Russia and Iran have, worked on some sort of trade deal. Weren't we giving Iran some money? Wasn't there like a whole issue? Remember Obama? It was during Obama. Obama was paying Iran. Basically, we were giving them some cash or unfreezing some of their own cash assets. Something like that was going on. Do you guys remember this?
I do, but I just don't have specifics. I remember that.
Was that money? And I guess this is for the audience too, and anybody who wants to track this down. That I feel like that money was supposed to kind of appease Iran and keep them from, acting up. Meanwhile, people was like, yo, don't give them money because they're going to use that money to fund, what they're funding. So at some point, aren't we going to have to investigate, did Biden and Obama's and all the people that was giving Iran money F up by giving them money?
Isn't that the whole game of this entire thing, though? Is just regularly giving money and weapons to people who then become your enemy or already are your enemy?
It feels like it. It feels like it.
Like
it's just like a never-ending cycle, is what you're saying.
Over and over again.
Over and over.
I mean, the U.S. famously funded the Taliban, right?
Right.
Because they were in a war, and the United States says, "Well, we're on your side, so let's hook up Osama bin Laden."
We want you guys to basically do a job that benefits us.
Right. So let's hook them up with some weapons because that'll be helpful to us. And then fast forward, and who's our number one enemy in the world? The same guy who we gave money to.
Or the same clique. Well, then Trump, they wrote a love letter. Trump and them worked out a love letter. Remember the Taliban love letter between Trump and the Taliban?
I don't remember the Trump-Taliban
love letter. Look, Google that. Trump Taliban letter.
Bruh.
There was a whole letter that, that they were like, yo, it's all good. We ain't beefing no more. We're going to chill.
They said, I'm not gay no more, but about beef?
Yeah, they was like, nah, ain't no beef. It's smooth. If you don't slide, we ain't gonna slide.
I don't remember if you don't slide, we ain't gonna slide.
You don't remember that?
No, I've never even heard of that as a way to describe.
No, that's how they talk now.
By the way, we haven't for 1 second as we're getting towards the end here of our live.
The inaugural live after the live.
The live after the live.
We go live after we're live.
We have.
I like that as a title.
Live after live.
We go live after we're live. Show program.
Program show. Okay. We didn't spend any more time on the Mos Def Drake thing.
Well, that was one of the most exciting things. Let's close out with that. So what did you said you wanted to go nerdier and deeper on it. What did you want to say?
Well, that whole thing we were talking about of like what is hip hop, and does Drake not check the boxes that we want the greats to check? And you've said things before about he needs to say more. He doesn't say very much. And this
I never say he needs to.
You said he doesn't weigh in. When he went after Gambino, you said, why are we expecting it from Drake? He doesn't weigh in on anything.
That's not what he does.
That's right.
But after this album, where Ebro, just anyone listening, where Ebro very specifically was not critical of what he said, other people were critical. And remember, that was a big conversation. It's what Joe Budden said. When are you going to grow up, Drake? When are you going to give us more? That's a whole thing. And I just wonder whether we hold all of our other heroes to the same standard, or does Drake get held to a different standard because he's more successful?
I think it ebbs and flows. I think I think, yes, Drake gets held to a different standard because he's more successful. And I think, yes, there have been times when the culture has gone after some of our other legends. You know, there was a time when people came after Ho for talking about art and all that shit. Nobody want that from you and blah, 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 blah. What is this art shit? Blah, blah, blah. We've had times when people went after Pusha. Oh, yo, all Pusha talk about is coke and this and that and the third. And there was, you know, people have gone after Cole on the internet, where the internet's like Cole is boring and Cole is this and that and third. When Kendrick put out To Pimp a Butterfly, people were like, nobody don't want all this super cerebral, extracurricular, blah, 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 complicated. It's too complicated album. Even this most Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, people were.
That was a complicated album, let's be honest.
What, Mr. Morale?
Yeah, Mr. Morale. I was listening this weekend. Mr. Morale's that is a dense listen.
No, it is. But, you know, when people came for it, it was like, I don't want therapy rap. F your therapy rap.
It was great, though.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it ebbs and flows, man. You know what I'm saying? This is just I don't think the Mighty Most, Black Dante, Yasin Bey.
That's right.
Is that tuned into listening to Drake albums? I could be wrong.
You don't think he's Scary Hours?
I don't think he got into the what is it, the For All the Dogs Scary Hours Deluxe pack. And was like, oh, okay, Drake, after he put out For All the Dogs, he done spun the block, come back and delivered on this Scary Hours.
I just, honestly, I just felt bad. I've been there. I've had a legend I've had a legend shit on you before. It's not fun. No one wants like people they admire to hate them. It's one thing, or hate on them.
But I don't think most hates Drake. I don't think that's
he
what
was hating on him.
That.
But there was no way, Laura. Am I wrong? The laughing, there was extra sauce that wasn't
shade.
needed.
It was definitely shady.
A lot of sauce, bro.
It was shady. It was definitely shady, but it wasn't like disdain. It wasn't disgust and disdain.
No, it wasn't disgust, but it was this is bullshit. It was, come on, let's keep it real. We made real shit. This is that bullshit. And by the way, he has the right to that take. A lot of people would agree. I just sympathize with Drake seeing that from Mos, because Mos isn't Joe Budden.
But as Drake responded, and appropriately so, he said, "What did Umi say? Shine your light on the world." And Drake and that's why I said what I said earlier. Drake is very hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, he cares about making great craftsmanship and music that is great and songs that are great. And he's also shined a light on other cultural music for the mainstream too.
Right. I was saying before too, is there a fear similar to rock and roll where we start to feel like the essence of what we've created becomes too pop and it slips away from us?
There should be.
And is that what the fear is in that moment? And if we start to identify, which makes it become difficult, like, man, why are you asking me this question for most? If we start to identify Drake as hip hop, and that's parallel to what we see Jack Harlow doing, do we start to forget the origins, or is Drake's responsibility, as well as he brings Afrobeat, as much as he brings whatever, to also bring that pioneering element, basic, authentic feel of hip hop along with him?
Boom, you want Drake out here promoting like a 5 art forms of hip hop with graffiti and breakdancing and all that.
I'm just asking the question, should he bring that along with him on his journey?
I'm the same. I'm asking the same.
Somewhere, not every time, but
by the way, this is where you have to factor in. This is important. His Canadianness. You know, Drake's experience is not that. When we talk about the essence of how hip hop was created, Drake isn't from a black and brown neighborhood in America. He wasn't of the same texture and cloth. So maybe he's the wrong person. Maybe Kendrick from Compton is the more reasonable person to have that expectation for. And maybe Drake being an actor from Toronto, I'm not saying this with disrespect. I'm saying with real, having honest conversation about background, maybe it's just not, he's not the guy for that. But Shawnee, your question is valid. And there is a real issue today that I think will rear its head in 10 years of the kids who now get into hip hop. There is no barrier for entry. You literally can
Mhm.
just like songs you see as TikTok dances, and that is what you define hip hop to be.
Right.
Versus generations previously, where to engage with hip hop required some level of knowledge as to how the music came to exist. That now is not part of it.
I
It's
don't
just
nah. I'm blowing the whistle. Bro.
That what?
I'm blowing.
You don't
the
think that
whistle.
was ever a thing?
No. It was a thing for those of us that wanted to have really close proximity to the actual culture. But since parents just don't understand, man, even when you think about Rapper's Delight, it was just these were radio records, man. And there was people who liked hip hop because of what they heard on the radio. They didn't know the 5 art forms. They didn't know, they just liked these rap records that they heard on the radio. And I believe that there's a small percentage of hip hop fans that are like us, that want an authenticity and a purity to it. There's another tier or outer layer. There's, I think there's primary hip hop fans, secondary, tertiary, and so on, right? Where,
True.
There's just levels to this ish. And right now, while we're also seeing some of the highest heights in hip hop, as far as streaming and sales and cultural influence or whatever, there's still a thread of underground MCs and purists. I mean, The Alchemist and Hit Boy just did Benny the Butcher's album, and LeBron James, the biggest athlete in the world, just posted Benny the Butcher because he's got a song called Bron and he's really spitting. And James Samuel, who is the director of a blockbuster film, The Book of Clarence, just put out an album that had Lil Wayne with Shabba Ranks and Buju on some real spiritual, cultural, Doja Cat and Kodak and Hove and D'Angelo, and you know what I'm saying? So these things are still happening. Are they getting played on the radio? Are they chart toppers? No, but were they ever the chart toppers?
Yeah, it's a very
Right.
good argument. It's a very
Yeah.
good response. I do agree. There's as much good quality stuff in the niche hip hop world as there ever has been. But there's
Vinyl's
also
back. People are selling vinyl.
Right.
Supreme is putting out 1,200 turntables. You know what I mean?
No, it's there.
Street artists are the big artists in the galleries and putting out books and
well, yeah, but you're talking about money now. Now you're having a conversation.
Well, no, I'm
about how
saying
much-
that people from the culture are able to take real cultural influence and turn it into commerce and not having to actually acquiesce, right? Like they're not changing things to be mainstream, but there are people who are making Target level products, which I think is what most is saying. Like Drake made mad skews, man. He's got
So many
reggae,
skews.
he's got Afro beats, he's got dance music, he's got R&B, he's got rap records, he's got all the skews. It's like Target, everything is here.
Right. It's just hard because do we want that to be the definition? You know what I'm saying? And she was asking, in some respects, an aficionado to define, is Drake hip hop? Is that what we define as hip hop? And that becomes hard. And this is kind of a sidebar, but in the same vein, my son was asking me like something about freestyles. Oh, this kid is freestyling. And I'm like, that's not a freestyle. If you're asking me, what they consider freestyles at this point is just somebody rapping and they memorize the whole thing. So you can't ask somebody who kind of knows what
freestyle became, I'm rapping and I'm not getting paid for it.
Right.
It's free.
You threw on a beat and I said something I wrote, and this is the freestyle, and I'm not
but
getting
it's
paid.
a mixtape.
Right. So if the mixtapes aren't mixtapes anymore, hip hop isn't what we do it anymore. Freestyles aren't freestyles anymore. Somebody has to say, well, yeah, this is a variation of what hip hop is, but this is not the true essence of what we know to be hip hop.
Yeah,
the
but
definition.
it's how it's evolved.
Mm-hmm.
It's how, just like there's rappers out here who are singing.
True.
Right.
By the
You know
way,
what
and
I'm
with all
saying?
that said, it is funny, by the way, though, guys, that he had this entire conversation on a fashion podcast.
Right.
I know, but I think that you kind of caught him off guard. You know what I mean?
I know, but it's just funny.
No, but to Rosenberg's point, my bro, you wasn't even on a hip hop show popping this.
Yeah,
to
like
most, and most
he
is
doesn't
like
do a lot of talk, but he doesn't go have a lot of hip hop conversations.
He ain't coming up to talk hip hop with us. Matter of fact, when he put out his last hip hop album, like the Black Star album was only available on a podcast platform because they didn't want to deal with corporations, so they only dealt with Luminary, and you had to buy the whole, subscribe to the whole podcast to get it because they didn't want it on streaming services and all that because they didn't feel like they was getting they just due. That's their right, and I love them for that. Most last album, you had to go to the Brooklyn Museum and put on headphones and stare at pictures to hear the music.
Yeah, it just wasn't available to anybody.
You know, and I could make the argument that, you know, hip hop is supposed to be accessible for the people. Why are you making it so hard?
It's a very, listen, I just love Most for having the conversation.
Reluctantly having it, by the way.
Yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, but by the way, reluctantly again, though. But Ebro, you're so full of shit. If he was truly reluctant, he didn't have to have the convo the way he did. He could have been like, "Hey, man, Drake's makes some hit music for some people. It may not be for me, but there's music." He did a whole skit about Target. Let's not act as if he didn't have bullets. He had bullets in the chamber. He oh, I'm so reluctant. But if you asked,
Right.
No, but he got into character. He was like, "Why are you doing this to me?"
Yeah, he played. No.
He
And by the
paused.
way, if I was really a conspiracy theorist, I would say I could believe she was like, "Hey, do you want to talk about Drake before?" And he's like, "Sure." And then she brought it up, and he was like, "Oh, why'd you bring this up?" But since you did,
Or before the interview, and you know this happens before the
don't
interview,
know
they're
that.
just talking mute. Maybe Drake music was playing, and he started that little skit, and then she was like, "You know what? I'm gonna ask him about Drake."
guys, how do you think we did on our first after program show?
Well, we have Michael Ramos, Nikki Stewart, Izzy Rodriguez. Let's see, Hot Rod Rick all chiming in. Ed chimed in
nice.
on the Drake convo. Bryce Hall, subject matter: death gets stagnant in hip hop. Yep, we know that. Shamari 180. So a lot, you know, some people have some things to say. We appreciate.
I saw
y'all
a comment
tuning
in the YouTube. It said, "Laura is so beautiful with hard eyes," and I was like, "Oh, that's so nice. Who's that?" And it was Miss Hatton was the commenter.
Oh, it was your wife.
My wife.
Damn.
I was like, "Damn, Laura, the people love you." Wait a second, that's just Natalie.
That's funny.
This was fun, guys. Have a great day, everyone.
All right,
So wait,
cool.
does this have any
Yeah.
sort of frequency, cadence? Is this
Do we do this again?
is this
Oh,
a
I
once a
think-
week
I think-
jump off?
I think Tuesdays. Yeah, I think they want to do Tuesday.
All
Every
right.
Tuesday, they say. So listen, tell a friend to tell a friend. We're gonna talk shit. It's the
We'll chat it up with you.
it's we're live after we went live program show. See, there it is. The title's right there. We go live
So
after the live program show. You see
That's
it?
something right there.
There it is.
Book it. All
So
right.
stupid.
Bascom, turn us off.
All right, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Yo, E,
Yeah.
you got reads.